We're so glad that you took time out of your day to join us today. Welcome to BJU Press Online Party. And we're going to talk about family fun with heritage studies. My name is Sarah Lawson.
And I'm Evanna Walker.
And we've both taught heritage studies, right?
Yes.
You taught what grade?
I taught the fourth grade heritage studies with all of the wars and the ginormous timeline. Ugh. It went on forever, but it was a great project to understand history.
Yes, timelines are great. Look at all those events on there.
I learned a lot when I taught this, seriously.
That happens, doesn't
Yeah,
it? We
does.
learn a lot when we're teaching the class. Well, I taught Heritage Studies 1 and Heritage Studies 2. And Heritage Studies 2 is one of the new classes that's coming out this year.
I think it sounds like fun.
It's I think, going to be a very fun class. I enjoyed teaching it. Heritage Studies 1 is called Family and Community, and Heritage Studies 2 is Community and Government.
Government in second grade?
I know.
Wow.
I know. We do some introductory talking about government, and we even get to visit Washington, D.C.
Ooh, that
in
sounds
one
like
of the
a fun
lessons.
field trip. Yeah.
Yes, I don't want to give away all the secrets.
Okay.
Well, there's some wonderful activities that I hope that your child will enjoy.
And many of these activities could easily be fun for the whole family to work on together, so they're not just by themselves trying to do all this, but you're learning about it together as a family.
That's right, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, if you've got an idea or if you've done an activity like this as a family, please share your ideas with us in the thread. Well, let's start with family history. My family really enjoys family history. My dad was always interested in it, and my husband and I have enjoyed researching our family history. Now, in lessons 9 and 10 of Heritage Studies 2, the student activity is to create a family tree. The activity in the book is making a family tree using one of our characters' family members.
One of these guys?
That's right. On the cover of the book, we have these characters that are in Heritage 1 and in 2 again.
Gives a good example for how to do the tree. then.
Exactly, exactly. But this activity could be enjoyed by the whole family. Have you ever done any family research, Evanna?
I haven't personally, but my dad, his dad came from Scotland, and so he dug into it, and we thought we were related to Sir Robert the Bruce, King of Scots. But it turns out there's 8 of them, and ours wasn't the King of Scots. He turns out to be a horse thief, so be careful how deep you dig.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for that when you're researching, for sure. Well, there's so many online tools to use for family history. Some are free, and some do have a fee. We've used Ancestry.com. On this, we found census reports, and these reports, they show like how many people are living at a particular address, how old they are. You can also find out the jobs that they had. We also on this site could find marriage licenses, birth certificates, death certificates, and so much more. Now, my great-grandparents immigrated to America. Any immigrants in your family, Evanna?
Well, yes. My mom's parents were from Germany, and my dad's parents, Grandpa was from Scotland, and Grandma was from Ireland. And they came over on a boat together. I don't know if they met on the boat, but they came together and they got married.
Interesting. What a great love story that you found out. Have you also ever looked up like the ship logs on that trip?
No.
You should do that. It's kind of interesting to see their name listed, and you can see the name of the ship and the dates that they traveled and where they were headed. I saw my great-grandparents' names on ship logs, and you even saw how many suitcases that they were carrying with them. Information can be really helpful when you're researching your family. I've also enjoyed newspapers.com. Here there's wedding announcements and birth announcements, death certificates, or obituaries, I guess, in the newspaper too. I know. But this can give some helpful information too. And looking at newspapers gave me such a glimpse into the past and what was happening during this time. And I found that even though you can search for a name or a particular topic that you're looking for, event or whatever, and you can find that, I also like to read the ads in the paper. I got to find out what it was like when my family was living in this area. It was fun to see like how much things cost. And
bread was probably a nickel.
Right, right. And what things look like when my great grandparents and grandparents were growing up, cars, clothing, things like
Wow.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I could also see what was going on in the city and the world at that time. I found out a lot about history
Oh,
by
yeah,
looking at those
sure.
old newspapers. Something really interesting. I found an advertisement for my grandma's little cafe.
Oh.
She had this little cafe, and I have a picture of that cafe in my house. And her cafe was called Pollyanna's. Her name was Anna. Not sure who Polly was. Must have been a friend or something.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the rest of that story. But newspapers can really help us with family history. Did you know that cemetery records can be helpful as well? We stop by cemetery offices to get information. Findagrave.com is another site that gives helpful
I'm detecting a theme
information.
here.
We found pictures like of headstones, and sometimes it gives full names. It gives dates on there too that can give information. And we found that on this site, there are people who don't live in my city, but maybe they have a family member who was buried here in my town, and they could request that someone get a picture of a headstone for them. And
Don't tell me.
my husband and I did spend an afternoon going to cemeteries.
What
Trying
a
to help
date.
these
What a
people.
great date idea, don't you think? You know how to really have a good time.
Live it up. Well, when I was young, we didn't have all these online tools that we can use now from the comfort of our homes. My family took a trip to research our family history, and this was a highlight for me that I remember lots about that trip, even though that was many years ago.
Oh, we took a family trip 50 years ago. Yeah, 50 years
Oh.
ago. And I still remember so many details about it. It was an amazing thing. I wish I'd done that with my kids.
Yes, yes. And churches will often
Mhm.
have records. Sometimes, if you know of the place where your
Right.
family member grew up, sometimes the
Mhm.
church where they attended would have some records. The older kids could interview a family member, either in person or
Mhm.
on phone. Even writing a letter would work. And it'd be important to have your questions ahead of time, don't
Yes,
you think?
figure them out and have the kids. That way they don't shy up on you when you go see someone.
Right.
They've got their ideas there and they know what they want to say. And then we have to have a place to
Mhm.
write that down.
Yes, and I
Yes.
would be sure to keep that in a safe place because
mhm.
that would be some great information to have for sure. You know, my great aunt lived with my family for several years when I was in high school, and I loved my time with her. We enjoyed chatting together
Mhm.
and baking together.
Oh,
But you know what?
wow.
I wish that I'd asked her more about
Yeah.
my family history.
I never thought to ask my grandparents about where they came from. I just asked my mom, "When's dinner? What's for
Yep.
dinner?" You know, 'cause it didn't even occur to me. I wish I had taken time to do that.
Yep, yep. Well, you could research the countries where your family came from, explore what the culture was like, maybe make a meal that's common from that country.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like my mom's family's from Norway, and I remember her saying that she had lutefisk at a Christmas gathering with her family. Lutefisk, that's a type of fish that was a popular Norwegian tradition.
Smelly fish.
And she loved being with her family, but she didn't really care for that meal. In fact,
Yeah.
we haven't really continued that particular
yeah.
tradition.
Some traditions are better left forgotten.
What about you? Do you have any meal that is passed down and is tradition?
No, they were here during the Depression. My parents grew up in
Mm.
the Depression, and so they lived very frugally. And my mom could make anything spread for 6 kids. So we had a lot of potatoes. But one of my favorite dishes is pot pie, where it's potatoes and these noodles that you cut up. She could make a little bit of meat, just really stretch. So that is still a comfort food to today.
That sounds like a very good comfort food.
I'm going to have it for supper. Maybe
Sounds
Saturday
good.
morning. It's a Saturday morning meal.
Well, what about taking a field trip or even a vacation to a place where your family lived? You could visit an old family home or visit the town where a family member grew up. My great-grandparents were homesteaders, and I read some books about what homesteading was like to help me understand that better. Well, everyone in the family could help make a family tree. And you know, some websites will even help you with
Right,
this.
yeah.
My husband was even able to give a presentation at a family reunion and tell about the family history. And that'd be a fun thing to do as a family. Learning about the history of family is exciting. Well, what about learning about your community's history?
Okay. If you don't have a lot of family or they're too far away, community, what's around you is a good idea.
Yes. And an activity in Heritage 2 is researching your community's past. So in lessons 14 and 15 of Heritage Studies 2, your child will research the history of your community and create a timeline of past events. And then they'll list ways that your community's past affects your community today. Now, I found this activity fascinating because I did this too so I could show an example. And I learned so much about my community, my city's past, and how it affects my community today. Now, this could definitely be something that the whole family would enjoy. For instance, does your town have a museum? Sometimes we have things right in our town that we don't go to.
Right.
So if you have a museum, go as a family because there's usually things for all ages. Did you visit museums as a child?
Yes, we did a lot of traveling like that, but my dad really valued the historical markers that were on the way to the trips. So he would say we're going to stop and smell the historical marker, meaning like stop and smell the roses. So we get out and read it and be something there. He just thought those little interesting tidbits as we traveled across the United States and Canada that one year, we visited a lot of historical markers. So and museums as well. But that's what I remember is stopping all the time to get out and read the thing. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, do you do that today? With you?
No, my husband wants to get where we're going, but if we are in a museum, he wants to read everything. When we went to the Creation Museum, my kids were like, "We're going to be fossils before we get out of here." So he reads everything. Yeah.
So museums and historical markers can
Okay.
be interesting. Field trips are always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you could visit local places in your community that you haven't seen before. Maybe go behind the scenes at a grocery store. Maybe talk to someone about stocking the shelves and about that job. You could visit a farm or local greenhouse or even a zoo.
Oh, yeah.
Some
Well,
of
everybody
those-
does those. It's those extra ones that you don't think about that aren't always in the book that are kind of the special ones that you would have. So.
You could also maybe take part in local events like a farmer's market. We have a great one
Oh,
in our
yes.
city, don't
Saturday
we?
morning is amazing around here. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And we also have something with art in our community as well downtown.
Open studios.
Yes.
Yes. You can actually go to the artist's studio. I mean, we have a map all around town, and they're open certain hours, and you can meet the artist and watch what they're doing, and it's free. Very
Yes.
cool thing to get
Yes,
that
and
the
probably
word out.
lots of
Yeah.
communities have
Oh.
things like that.
I
Probably
thought we were the only ones.
Maybe we are.
I don't get out much.
We also have outdoor concerts and plays that are fun to do, as well as
Shakespeare
other
in the park.
venues.
Is that what it's called? Shakespeare in the park?
I think it is.
I've never gone to one of those, but that seems like
I haven't done that.
that would be
either,
kind of
but It
fun.
would be. See, here we are, right in our city. We have these things.
I know. We, have to
We
do
need
some-
to get out more,
Yeah,
don't
we
we?
do. We're too busy writing lessons.
Another way to find out more about your community is to interview a person maybe who's lived in the community a long time, like we did with family history, a family member. You could also do that with a person in your community that's lived there for a while. Again, write a list of questions before
Yes,
that
be
interview
prepared.
where everybody could contribute
Yes,
some
yeah.
questions. And then be sure to write down your answers. Let's see, what would be some good questions to ask? Maybe like, what did the town look like when they were young? Because I'm sure it's much different when they from
What
when
do they
were
do
young.
for fun? That's what I would want to
Yes.
know. With no TV, no radio, no media, what they do fill their
Yes.
time, you know?
And I enjoyed, like my mom and dad talking about transportation
Oh.
because my dad, I remember talking about the streetcar, taking the streetcar someplace. What jobs did they have at that time? And what you did for fun. That's a good question too, Evanna. Well, now, what can you do with this information? Well, along the way, you could take pictures of different things you see, and maybe you could put them in a scrapbook or a journal.
We have a huge scrapbook. When we traveled for a year, we went to Europe for about 6 weeks, and we did the travel guide, and my dad wrote a little synopsis of our travels. And then we put the money, whatever the conversion was. We did math. We did a little bit of history. We did a little bit of the language. We had to learn, I think, like 10 different phrases in each country that we wrote down, and then the places that we went, the tickets. I still have that. We did that 50 years ago.
That is a
Never
great
quite
idea.
finished it, but we've got it.
But you've got it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of documents what you did because you think, oh, I'll never forget that. But you do forget some of the
It's very
details
neat.
about
Like the
some
Leaning
of
Tower
the.
of Pisa was like, oh yeah, we actually went up the Leaning Tower of Pisa all the way up to the top. That was before they shut it down.
Wow,
And it
that's
was
great
leaning.
that
It was kind of cool. The stairs were
Yes.
the stairs were worn on the weird side of the stairway. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I
Oh,
interrupted.
no, that's great that you got to do that. Well, every member of the family could write about the things that they learned about the community. Younger kids could even draw a picture of their community or maybe make a model with blocks or clay.
My nephew did that recently, where he had that map that has all of the country around. And he
yes,
took his
yes.
Lego blocks and he made stores and different sizes of. So he made Clarksville because his name was Clark. So
That
kind
is
of cool.
so cute. What
Just
a
7
cute
years
idea.
old, yeah.
That's a great thing to do. That's a great idea.
I really wish I had done something like that. Like in the little town that I lived in long ago, we had a little candle factory. We had some special things that I never took the time to figure out to go visit. But I think maybe now that we're here in Greenville and we're talking about this, it's kind of inspired me a little bit to actually maybe get out and see Greenville. We actually have a friend, is it John Nolan?
Yes.
That does the tours around Greenville.
Right.
So he knows a lot. So maybe we got to do that one Saturday morning.
Yes, that is something that I would love to do.
I would too. Yeah, that's so
We'll
cool.
have to do that sometime.
Now, doing educational activities together is a fun way for a family to learn together. So my enrichment activity is from a lesson about the value of having rules. So rules help you work together. They help you understand your responsibilities, and that different families might have different rules than you do. So when rules change, it kind of gets you used to the idea. So the activity is mentioned in the Heritage Studies 1 Teacher's Edition, and it's Lesson 8. And the suggestion is to create a game together. And I'm the game queen. I had tons of games in my classroom, and I like to even put them in my lessons. And the activity is to discuss how rules help you play a game fairly. So let's start with a simple game board. It has to have a start and a finish, maybe some fun art. I like fun art. And I like to put a title on mine because I have so many game boards. It helps me remember which one. And you don't have to do that, but let me show you what I used. I used a lot of stickers, and so most of them are made with clip art or stickers. And here the stickers made to look like seeds for plant some flowers. And here I made the stickers look like basketballs and go for the gold. Here the stickers were Heritage Studies. These are all flags. So that was kind of a fun thing to do. And I think at the very end you kind of wave an American flag if you've won like that. This one was from wrapping paper. Go Bears, go. I actually borrowed, upside down there. I borrowed I actually asked to take the wrapping paper at a shower because I thought that was so cute. I could easily
is cute.
make a game.
Yes,
and then
great idea.
also using some birthday cards for your clip art for them. But also just using stickers. This is like clip art. This is one from one of my lessons where we just went like that. So you choose a small object to keep track of where the players go. So I use just about anything. I've got blocks, cars, I've got magnetic letters, I've got little bitty animals, some Unifix cubes, I've got wiggle eyes, buttons, and even cough drops, little wrapped candy. So
Yes.
why don't you choose one? Okay.
Let's see. Okay, I'm going to choose, I think an S.
For Sarah. Okay, and I'm going to choose the dinosaur. Okay. Now, some simple rules that you need so that everyone knows how to play the game fairly. And up front, you know what the rules. You don't change it in the middle because then people get upset. So how do we move forward? That's one of our first rules. So since we want to make this educational, let's have the players review questions of some kind. Students usually need to review for a quiz or a test or just work on memorizing some important facts.
There's lots of good questions on the study guide pages
Yes.
for Heritage Studies.
Exactly. That's a great place to get them from. Or you might have flashcards for like vocabulary words or your states and capitals or your presidents, things like that, or even who did what when, something like that.
Now, when you answer a question correctly, do you just move just one space at a time on this game?
No, that's boring. You've got to, have something like you have in a game board. It's not very exciting, but if you I've got a foam block. I often use these for math facts. I'll have 3 or 4 of them and we'll toss them up for a game.
Mm-hmm.
But here it's
Great
like a little
idea.
dice that you can roll it, or I made a little spinner on the top of a candy lid like this, and it spins like that.
That spins really well.
Yeah, I put like
Sometimes-
a washer, you know what that is? Like a
Yes.
little, kind of like a nickel with a hole in it. And that's part of what makes it spin so clear like that.
That's a great idea.
This adds some chance or suspense because you never know how many you're going to advance. And so you don't have to get them all right to actually be able to win.
Mm-hmm. Now I see that there's some red and green dots on here too.
Yes, that is something that I added to a lot of my game boards because if you have, whenever you land on a green one, you take another turn. And when you land on a red one, you lose your turn, or even you might say you have to go back to where you started. So this adds kind of an unexpected quality to the game, okay? So studying suddenly becomes a little bit more interesting because there's a little sibling rivalry there
Right,
with it. You're
right.
playing a game too. It's not just memorize, memorize, memorize and try to get it done. You've got some fun to look forward to. Now it might take a little bit longer, but
It's fun.
it makes
isn't
learning
it?
fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
So
important.
now you're ready to play your game with other members of the family.
But if one student like is trying to review maybe the seasons or land forms or bodies of water, won't the older kids just know that already?
Well, yeah. Well, that's why what they do is they take whatever they're studying and bring it to the table. So that they can each just answer a question to move. It doesn't matter what question it is, just answer the question.
Great, so everyone can have fun playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Using their
So
own.
whether it's community workers, landforms, presidents, states and capitals, each one takes turns answering the questions on their pages or their flashcards. So, and either you or maybe one of the older ones can check each other's answers. And you can do this not just with history, but with multiple subjects. Everyone brings whatever they need to study to whatever game you want to do. Whatever, doesn't have to be a game board. It can be, it's a matter of taking turns and get a little reward for something like that. So the types of flashcards that you might want to use, I mean, you can use sight words, vocabulary words, your spelling words,
Yes.
math facts, even Bible verses. And then on your review questions, there's different kinds for different ages. We have the study pages that you can see where at the bottom it says your studies, or the chapter review sections, the cumulative review. I mean, everything on the cumulative review is something you're supposed to know. And then lab questions, assessment pages. So make sure that they continue until everyone finishes. Because if you only get one, it's like, ugh, I didn't get to finish. So everyone needs to finish. Then you congratulate each other and you be a good sport about who won.
That's important.
So the rules help you know how to play fairly together, where it's a game or kind of preparing for working together in the house. So it helps you to know when to move, how to move, and when to stop. Now, another simple idea for using competition with several players is like if you each were to have an animal. So instead of a game board, you each have an animal. You get your ducky, and I've got my bear. Okay, so you each bring a favorite toy or even just a cup if you want to, and the review materials. So you have the duck, I've got the bear.
Okay.
So we do exactly the same procedure. You can either roll or you can, here it is, you can spin. Okay, so that tells you how, after you answer the question, it tells you how many you can get. So we've got some counters. We need some kind of counters to keep score. And it can be these coins, this or that, or even, something like blocks like this where you get them, or even like little stars, pennies. It can be just about anything that you can use to keep track of your points. Okay, so you answer the question correctly, you spin. So let's pretend you got one correct. Spin.
Okay, so I spin?
Yeah.
All right, I have,
You have
two.
two. Okay. So you'd put 2 in front of your duck.
Oh, okay, just any of
Any
these
two.
Yep.
Anything.
One
It could be
and
popcorn.
two.
It could be whatever. And then I'm going to answer my question, and I spin. 1. Okay. I'll take the 1. Okay. You see how that works? Okay. So let's see. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who is the first president of the United States?
First president of the United States. That is George Washington.
So you would get to spin or roll. Let's do roll. Try
Roll this
rolling.
time?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, one.
Just one. Okay, put one in front of your ducky.
Okay, so one. Okay.
Okay. Do you have one for me?
Choose that one. All right, your question. Okay, let's see. Which came first, World War I or World War II? It's a tricky one.
World War One. Okay, I'm gonna roll. Oh, 3. And I've got
Wow.
3 blocks in front of mine.
Good
See how
for
that
you.
works? Whoever has the most wins. Now, if your students are a little older, you might want to add another rule that involves a little bit of strategy, okay? So on my spinner, I have actually put something where it says give one, where you give one of yours to someone else, depending on the rules, or take one, okay? So that way, when you spin it, if you land on that, you give one or take one. So it involves some thinking and problem solving to figure out the best strategy of whether or not, if it's who gets rid of theirs first, I'm going to give one to you so I can get rid of mine. Or if whoever has the most, I might take one of yours. So a little bit of strategy in there, okay? And learn how to win and be a good sport. Now, another easy way to compete is to just do some action for a correct answer, okay? And that way it doesn't take a little prep like that. For instance, here we go. Paper wads. Could be popcorn. It could be anything. So you do just the exact same thing. You ask a question. You spin or roll. Oh, wait. You ask a question, and then you get to take a turn. Something like that, okay? So when the player answers the question correctly, they can try to make a basket. Okay, now you might have done this in high school. And maybe some of these things are not brand new to you, but they can certainly, they're going to be new to your littles. So try something like this. So let's see. Mrs. Lawson, or Sarah, spell family.
Family. Family.
Okay.
Family.
You get to choose one. You're pink.
Okay. Yep. All right. Here we go. Oh, I made it.
Okay. Get one for me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. Mrs. Walker, Evanna, can you spell fun?
Fun. F-U-N. My
Good
turn.
job.
I'm blue. Here we go.
Oh,
That's too easy.
Good job.
So now you might want to incorporate a little bit of the unexpected. So you don't know how many. That way it doesn't matter if you got it right. You can kind of catch up. So you can answer your question, roll, and then take 3 tries for something like that as you try to make the basket. Okay? So the different colors of the paper help you know who won in the end. Now, another silly version of this is stickers, okay? We each get a sheet of stickers. So when the player answers correctly, they can put a sticker on themselves. Okay, put one on you.
Oh, okay.
Or they could put one on any other player, depending on what the rules. Whoever has the most stickers loses, something like that. Or they can spin or roll to find out how many stickers that you can put on paper, okay? So whoever uses up the most stickers first wins. So, and whoever has the other way, it can be the most that loses or the least that loses. Your rules, you decide. And that's why this game is called Stickeritis. So this simple element, the reward, adds fun to the game. Something small and meaningful. It could be like, yay, you get to wave the flag. Or maybe you get to bounce the ball for each correct answer. So
maybe the winner could get the first cookie hot from the oven.
Oh, I like that
or
one.
Extra basketball time with dad or something.
Snuggles, maybe reading. Whatever you think will motivate your bunch, that's what you should try. So to recap, a game needs rules to keep things fair. It needs competition to keep the game focused, and reward to keep it fun. So experiment with different rules and rewards and find out what works with your family. So the next time a classroom activity pops up in your teacher's edition, remember, you can keep the fun in the family.
Well, thanks for joining us. This has been fun.
Now, if you have a question or you'd like to share how you've modified Heritage Studies learning activities across your multiple grade levels for your family, we're going to be sticking around for about an hour to respond to you in the threads, okay?
You know what? Here, you need some more stickers.
No, you need more stickers. I look ridiculous. Oh, no. I already look sticker Chickerliculus. Thanks for joining us today.
Enjoy your day.
There we go. You got that one.